Welcome to Proteomics course. Today we will talk about hybrid MS-MS configurations. As we have discussed that there are different type of mass spectrometers available, and depending upon the mass analyzers, how they can be used together, different type of MS-MS configurations, hybrid MS-MS have emerged. So, we have discussed that different type of hybrid MS or tandem MS can be used for various proteomic applications. There are several new advancements which have happened in this field, and to keep up the pace for these recent advancements, in today's lecture, I thought to involve a discussion on hybrid MS-MS configurations and talk with two leading companies, one with the Agilent technologies for QTOF and triple quadrupole, as well as the chip technology, and then with Thermo Fisher about the Orbitrap technology. So, we will discuss about quadrupole time of flight and triple quadrupoles. What are the advantages of using these type of hybrid configurations? What is the latest chip technology? How it can be used to overcome several limitations of HPLC based method, liquid chromatography, which is used prior to the ionization methods. So, I will discuss this thing with one of the leading application expert from Agilent, Mr. Abhijit, and during this short discussion and interview, we will try to provide you an overview of different type of latest configurations available and what are their advantages. Hello, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Abhijit Kanungo, who is a product specialist in the mass spectrometry division of Agilent Technologies in India. So, welcome Abhijit for this brief discussion session on mass spectrometry and your experience in this area.
Yeah.
So, first of all, how long have you been working in the mass spectrometry division of Agilent?
I have spent almost my 9 years in mass spectrometry field, out of which I am completing almost 4 years in Agilent Technologies to take care of Agilent mass spectrometry based product line to support entire sales team for the technical support.
Can you briefly tell us about your educational background and what motivated you to work in the area of mass spectrometry?
I have done my graduation and post-graduation from Mumbai University, and immediately after finishing of my post-graduations, I joined as a technical person in one of the leading instrument industry, and I was responsible for spectroscopic product line. But later on I got responsibility for the mass spectrometry, and at the same time the mass spectrometry was one of my favorite topic in subject in my college days. So that was the same thing, and because of that I got a flavor for the mass spectrometry, and because of that I entered in this field, and after that I keeps continuing with that.
So, can you mention what are the major applications of mass spectrometry on both small molecules and large molecules such as proteomics?
If you ask me, mass spectrometry is a wonderful technique, and I majorly classify into two types of application. One is a small molecule application, second is a large molecule application. Small molecule applications involves many applications, starting from the drug discovery, drug development, forensic applications, food safety analysis, dope analysis. Many other applications are available with the small molecule. But when you look for the proteomics application, that is one of the, for large biomolecular application, proteomics is one of the application where you really need to explore the possibilities and features what mass spec can support for this application. If you look at for the starting from intact molecular weight information, then peptide mass fingerprinting, or post-translational modifications, or drug discovery, or in terms of biomarker discoveries, or protein-protein interactions, drug-protein interactions, all such applications are very well possible with mass spectrometry based solutions.
What are some of the major shortcomings you foresee in mass spectrometry based applications which are currently being used?
If you ask me, in principle, mass spectrometry based proteomics, particularly liquid chromatography coupled to electrospray ionization technique, provides a very high throughput application, unbiased identification and characterization of proteins in biological samples. Moreover, multiple techniques are available today to monitor these changes in protein expression as well as post-translational modification studies. However, people think that mass spectrometry suffers from limited dynamic range or finite acquisition rate, but it is not true. It is not really true. Many new innovations has been implemented to overcome all these issues, and all these innovations with the goal to improve detection of low abundance proteins and rare post-translational modification studies.
So what MS based instrumentation and technologies Agilent is able to provide in the field of mass spectrometry?
Mass spectrometry, the field of proteomics is rapidly expanding, and it's just about every aspect. Any scientist, we are looking for each and every aspect which protein research involves, from detection and characterization or to the biomarker discovery and the quantitation studies. Protein analysis has many challenges. So Agilent has a complete solution. If you look at from Agilent offers the chip-based suite of proteomics, integrated proteomics solutions. And integrated proteomics solutions includes advanced LCMS platforms with unprecedented plug-and-play flexibility. If you look at, it's not only instrument, you have to take care of many things, starting from the best of mass spectrometry detector, the software which assists you to get the desired informations, and the sample preparation. So Agilent, in nutshell, Agilent has complete end-to-end solutions for all your proteomics analysis needs.
So what is this chip-based technology which you just mentioned?
If you ask me about the chip-based technique, the very biggest problem comes when you work with the protein sample is you have a very low concentration and low volume of samples.
Right.
And to work with all these low volume, low concentration samples, you have to work with the nano HPLCs. And traditional or conventional nano LCs has a biggest problem of the leakage. As soon as the leaks is out, it's very difficult to identify where the leakage has happened. And what's the problem? Why the leakages cannot be detected? The reason is it has a lot of nuts, ferrules, tubings, fittings. Because of that, you cannot detect the leakages. In fact, I'm carrying a chip with me. If you look at the conventional nano LCs, you have a lot of fittings, columns, consumables. Because of that, any leakages are there, you cannot detect the leakages, right? So Agilent has come up with the excellent solution. This is the chip technology where you have a sample enrichment capability over here. So once your sample is enriched by the capillary pump, then the nanoflow pump comes and takes a sample to the nano columns, and in fact you have an ionization source itself on the chip. So it's completely integrated to avoid all the complications of conventional nano LC. This chip technology has the best solution available today, and it is one of the best thing available for any of the proteomics lab.
So now, as mass spectrometry technology is very much revolutionizing all the aspects of life science research, and it is heavily used in the clinical proteomics and clinical research. How do you foresee why still the mass spectrometry is not so much used in the clinical settings still in the clinical hospitals?
Yeah. In fact, I think the mass spectrometry is waiting to make a changes in the industry. It will have a huge impact, especially on the infectious disease. If you look at, instead of many biological based methods, one should use the mass spectrometry. Mass spectrometry is very simple. It gives you information in a minute, and saves time, money, and more accurate results. The mass spectrometry is basically a transformative technique. But the only question is how fast it will be adopted by the scientific community. That's the one thing. Analysts have, and most of the analysts have perceptions that this instrument has some limitations, but it's not true. This is not user-friendly technique, but it is not true. This instrument is very simple, easy to use, get results in a minute, and more accurate results.
So, Abhijit, you rightly mentioned, and in fact, I will mention here that although the cost is one of the limiting factor for adopting these mass spectrometry based technologies in the hospitals and clinical setting, but nevertheless, even in Mumbai, different hospitals, when I visited, I saw like a lot of these mass spectrometers are actually being integrated for various type of diagnosis. So that is actually, I see, one of the very good change in terms of using the technology and directly providing the result for the deciding what type of treatment and drug or dose patient should get.
Yes, I'm 100% agree with you. Even I have seen most of the hospitals nowadays are having a mass spectrometer for the clinical applications.
Right.
And majorly I have seen for the small molecule application, but nowadays they are looking for the proteomics based clinical trials applications. And it starts from various research institutes. Most of the research institutes, those who are doing research on the clinical based proteomics, they started using mass spectrometry.
Right. Can you briefly describe about some of these technologies which you mentioned as the triple quad and chip based technologies?
Agilent has a very good solutions, and if you look at the point of triple quadruple, in fact I have some videos to show you. Look at here. This video explains you what all techniques are available and how it is useful for proteomics applications.
Whether you quantitate drug metabolites, measure herbicide levels in foods, or determine contaminant levels in groundwater, the triple quadruple mass spectrometer is unequaled for quantitating trace organic compounds in complex matrices. The Agilent triple quadruple LC-MS delivers outstanding sensitivity, great ease of use, and legendary Agilent reliability, all at a very attractive price. Great sensitivity starts with superior ionization technology. Agilent's LC-MS ion sources use our patented nebulization technology and high-volume counterflow drying gas. Together, they reduce noise related to incomplete drying of solvent droplets and keep the sampling capillary and ion optics cleaner for reduced maintenance. A thin skimmer aperture, carefully matched hole size, and short capillary to skimmer distance reduce beam broadening. An octopole ion guide provides better ion transmission over a wider mass range. Patented lenses enhance high mass ion transmission and increase sensitivity over a wider mass range. The first quadrupole mass filter allows only ions of the target mass to pass through. The hyperbolic shape of the rods enhances ion transmission and spectral resolution. In the hexapole collision cell, precursor ions strike collision gas molecules, generating product ions and neutral fragments. Linear axial acceleration and high collision gas pressure simplify operation and ensure fast, sensitive MS-MS without cross-experiment memory effects. The second quadrupole serves as a mass filter for the product ions produced in the collision cell. For quantitative analysis of a target compound, the second mass filter is operated in a selected ion monitoring mode. In the detector, the conversion dynode operates at 10,000 volts to improve sensitivity. Because the conversion dynode is off the main axis of the ion path, neutral molecules miss the dynode, thus eliminating neutral noise. A secondary dynode helps extend the useful life of the electron multiplier. The electron multiplier has a long life, but it is also easily replaced. Agilent 6410 triple quadrupole LC-MS establishes a new standard for value in a triple quadrupole mass spectrometer. It delivers outstanding sensitivity, great ease of use, and legendary Agilent reliability, all at a very attractive price.
Now we have seen how the triple quadrupole is the best technique for the quantitative application. Now let us look for the QTOF technology, how it is useful for the proteomics application.
Whether you are identifying proteins and characterizing post-translational modifications, searching for metabolite biomarkers, or finding impurities in pharmaceuticals or food, the Agilent 6510 quadrupole time-of-flight LC-MS is an outstanding choice. It delivers better than 2 ppm mass accuracy for MS and better than 5 ppm mass accuracy for MS-MS. It also delivers wide in-spectrum dynamic range and unsurpassed QTOF sensitivity, all in a reliable and easy-to-use system. Great sensitivity starts with superior ionization technology. Agilent's patented nebulization technology produces finer droplets and delivers more ions to the mass spectrometer. A second nebulizer introduces reference mass solution that ensures continual mass axis correction for the best possible mass accuracy. High-volume counterflow drying gas reduces noise related to incomplete drying of solvent droplets and keeps the sampling capillary and ion optics cleaner for reduced maintenance. A thin skimmer aperture, carefully matched hole size, and short capillary to skimmer distance reduce beam broadening. An on-axis octopole ion guide provides nearly 100% ion transmission over a wider mass range. Patented lenses enhance high-mass ion transmission and increase sensitivity over a wider mass range. The quadrupole mass filter allows only ions of the target mass to pass through. The hyperbolic shape of the rods enhances ion transmission and spectral resolution. In the hexapole collision cell, precursor ions strike collision gas molecules, generating product ions and neutral fragments. Linear axial acceleration and high collision gas pressure ensure that all ions exit the collision cell with nearly identical energy. This allows the same mass calibration factors to be applied to MS and MS-MS ions. The result is better than 5 ppm mass accuracy for MS-MS ions. Another octopole ion guide keeps the ions together while allowing excess collision gas to be pumped away. A quadrupole ion guide flattens the stream of ions for better transmission through the slicer. The slicer reduces variations in the vertical momentum of the ions. Ions with too much vertical momentum do not reach the pulsar. This improves mass accuracy for all ions. The flight tube is constructed of special materials with very low coefficients of thermal expansion, so it is less sensitive to temperature changes. The reflecton compensates for minor velocity differences, improving the resolving power of the 6510. Microchannel plate detector converts the ion signal from electrons to photons and back to electrons. This electrically isolates the high voltage flight tube and front of the detector from the signal passed to the electronics. ADC digitizer electronics provide extremely high mass accuracy over a broader dynamic range. The 6510 offers outstanding in-spectrum dynamic range for a time-of-flight instrument. When you need the ultimate in LC, MS, MS power and versatility, the Agilent 6510 QTOF provides it. With an ease of use and reliability rarely found in a research-grade mass spectrometer.
Isn't it good? The QTOF technology which we have seen has a lot of tremendous advantages for the proteomics application. We have seen how triple quadrupole and QTOF works for your application. But what about chromatography? I do have some videos which explains to you how chromatography technique, the conventional chromatography technique, and how chip technology has an advantageous feature. Look at the video now.
It's time to prepare for a new generation LC-MS technology from Agilent. HPLC Chip MS. The Agilent 1200 series HPLC Chip MS platform takes you to a new level of nanoflow LC-MS performance by combining microfluidics with an easy-to-use plug-and-play interface that lets you focus on your results. The Agilent HPLC Chip MS platform is based on the Agilent HPLC Chip and Agilent HPLC Chip MS interface that is designed for use with all Agilent 6000 series mass spectrometers. The Agilent HPLC chip integrates enrichment and analytical columns, microvalve connections, and metal-coated nano-electro-spray tip on an inert multi-layer polyimide film, and is smaller than a credit card. The compact architecture of the Agilent HPLC chip reduces peak dispersion and combines all steps from sample loading through compound ionization for a seamless operation. A closer look at the HPLC chip reveals that sample enrichment and separation columns of a nanoflow LC system are integrated with intricate connections and nano-electro spray tip for compound ionization in mass spectrometry. This eliminates 50% of the traditional fittings and connections typically required in a nanoflow LC-MS system, which dramatically reduces the possibility of leaks and dead volumes and significantly improves ease of use, sensitivity, productivity, and reliability. The HPLC chip also incorporates all electrical contacts for the nano-electrospray tip and features an embedded radio frequency ID tag that tracks the usage and operating parameters of the chip. The HPLC chips are housed in the Agilent 1200 series HPLC Chip MS interface, the Chip Cube. The Chip Cube includes an electrospray ion source with optics for spray visualization, HPLC chip loading and ejection mechanism, nano LC connections, and micro valve switching. The HPLC chip loading mechanism precisely and optimally positions the electrospray tip orthogonal to the MS inlet for maximum sensitivity and robustness, day in, day out. With the Agilent 1200 series Nano LC system, including microwell plate autosampler and loading pump, connected directly to the chip cube, an HPLC chip is loaded and leak-tight fluid connections are established automatically by sandwiching the chip between the rotor and the stator of the built-in multi-port microvalve. The rotor and stator dock onto the chip and establish a flow path from the Nano LC to the ports on the chip surface. Fast movement of the rotor ensures reliable switching between sample loading and sample analysis positions on the HPLC chip. Replacement of the HPLC chip is simple and can be completed in a few seconds. Let's look at how the Agilent 1200 series HPLC Chip MS system can be applied to a typical protein identification analysis. The Agilent microwell plate autosampler loads the digested proteins. The solvent flow moves the peptides into the trapping column. The microvalve changes the flow path. The gradient flow from the nanoflow pump takes the enriched sample from the trapping column to the separation column. The peptides are separated just like on a conventional nanoflow column. Reduced peak dispersion yields better separation efficiency and sensitivity. The integrated nanospray tip ensures reproducible nebulization of the effluent, vital for optimum ionization of compounds and best results. Proven nanoflow LC-MS technology and the new and exciting capabilities of microfluidics combine to form a system that is easy to set up and easy to maintain. Scientists can now get more results faster. The flexibility of the HPLC chip design and the HPLC chip MS interface microvalve technology in integrating additional chemistries and separation strategies opens up a wide range of potential solutions for many research challenges. On-chip multi-dimensional nano LC is one of many possible new applications. By adding more layers to the HPLC chip, Additional capabilities such as two-dimensional HPLC, affinity chromatography, and on-chip chemistries such as on-chip protein digestion are possible. These new applications and many others, such as chips with different columns lengths and packing materials, are part of Agilent's exciting custom HPLC chip portfolio. Moving beyond protein identification, the new phospho chip with a sandwiched, reversed phase titanium dioxide trapping column provides researchers working on post-translational modification with a convenient tool targeted at phosphorylated peptides. Pushing beyond proteomics, the new ultra-high capacity chip with a 500 nanoliter trapping column facilitates analysis of pharmaceuticals such as drug metabolism pharmacokinetics with better sensitivity and much lower sample requirement. This will be extremely attractive when the single animal testing model is implemented in pharmaceutical analysis. The HPLC chip MS interface is a standard module within the Agilent 1200 series LC portfolio, and is fully controllable through the Agilent ChemStation or Agilent Mass Hunter software. Step by step, chip by chip, Agilent will facilitate new applications in life science, pharmaceutical, and chemical analysis. HPLC chip MS, a growing trend in LC-MS technology.
So it was very good to see the latest advancement in this field of mass spectrometry and what new technologies Agilent is offering. My final question to you is, what will be your advice to our students or users, and how do you like to conclude this session for the mass spectrometry?
That's a very good question actually. Mass spectrometry has a tremendous potential in the field of analytical as well as research application, but we need to explore the possibilities, what all we can do. It's all in our hand. Instrument generates the data, but how actually we can utilize this information and how we can use this information for our purpose, we need to explore the possibilities. And I should say this is one of the best technology available today in this world, and one proteomics lab, any proteomics lab should have the mass-based solutions for their applications. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Abhijit, for very good discussion and sharing some of the latest advancement in this technology from our students.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
So after discussion on the quadruple time of flight, the QTOF as well as triple quadruples, now let's move on to another latest configuration, the orbit trap, which has very much similarity with the ion trap, but it is one of the very latest addition to this proteomics workflow, where people are applying this for various type of biomarker discovery and different other applications. So I have invited one of the application expert from Thermo Fisher to discuss about what is the orbit trap technology, its principle, and how it can be applied for different type of applications. So I will have a discussion with Mr. Sangram Patnaik from Thermo Fisher. This is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Sangram Patnaik, the Product Manager LCMS Division of Thermo Fisher Scientific. He is working in the mass spectrometry area. Hello, Sangram.
Hello, Dr. Srivastava.
So, very good to see you in this short conversation about mass spectrometry and some of the latest developments which are happening. I thought it will be a good idea to talk about some of the latest advancement happening in this mass spectrometry field. And I thought I'll invite you and seek your expertise about the orbit trap and new mass spectrometry applications available. Before I start this conversation, I would like to know a little bit about your educational background, as maybe about your experience in this mass spectrometry field.
Yeah. For last 6 years, I'm looking at the mass spectrometry divisions of different platforms. In Thermo Fisher for last 1 year, I am there in handling the Orbitrap technologies, and we have all ion trap and triple coat systems. Early prior to that, I am for last 4 and 5 years handling the QTOF systems as well as triple coats from other company vendors. Altogether, I am there for last 15 years in analytical industries.
Okay,
So these are the experience that I carry.
great. So you have a long interest in this field, it seems, and you have seen different type of advancement in the field.
Okay.
So with that experience, can you share what type of major applications of mass spectrometry are currently being used in the proteomics area?
Yes. In proteomics area, mostly there is two basic applications areas that people are looking at is the discovery and the targeted quantification. In the biological discovery, people are more talking about comprehensive proteomics, and in targeted, people are more talking about biomarker validations. In comprehensive proteomics, people's talks would they identify, wants to quantify all in the same sample, as well as they look at what are the post-translational modifications in the whole proteome. So these are the new areas of applications which is going on currently. These are the trends which are going on currently.
Right. So I think you rightly mentioned that emphasis is moving more towards the quantitation of those proteins rather than just only identifying them and leaving at only the abundance level, which was the case earlier.
Yes.
So in that light, can you brief us about some of the shortcomings of currently available mass spectrometers and what challenges we have to overcome to have a really comprehensive coverage of the proteome and to really do various applications, including the PTM, including targeted quantification and different type of application in the biomarker discovery?
Yeah, absolutely. It's as you are mentioned correctly, the biological matrix itself is very complex in nature. When you have a different kind of approach or workflow applications, you look at the analytical solutions which can fulfill that demand. Right. So most of the areas applications people are more talking about the sensitivity or resolution, mass accuracy. These are the areas. Now the new area coming up, what kind of different fragmentation patterns or fragmenting capabilities are required. Those are the areas people are now looking at.
So proteomics is quite a competitive and challenging field, and right now a lot of emphasis from all the companies that are in this field for the mass spectrometry, how to provide good solutions for analyzing the complex proteome. So what type of major mass spectrometry instrumentations are available from Thermo Fisher currently?
As a Thermo Fisher, we have different technologies starting from ion trap to Orbitrap. But for a proteomics platform, we normally try to providing them Orbitrap with different workflow solutions. So Orbitrap is the main choice of scientists now, if you look at globally as well as in India.
So if you don't mind, can you just give some overview about the Orbitrap technology currently available?
Right. The current Orbitrap we have 3 different platforms of Orbitrap, starting from the low end to the highest end. If you look at the Orbitrap is nothing but one kind of a ion trap where the ions moves in an orbit. So to give you a brief idea, it's better to have a small presentations I can show you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So this is how the systems looks like. If you look at on the front end, it is an ionization source, and there is 2 mass specs are in combinations to each other. We call it as a hybrid technology. The first part is a linear ion trap, and the second part is the Orbitrap. And the ionization ions are generated from the source. It goes to the linear ion trap, and it is being trapped there. Once it has been trapped, axially ejected and then goes into the C-trap. The C-trap squeezes the ion into packet and inject that ions into the Orbitrap. Once the ions get injected into the Orbitrap.
So probably you are showing those trajectory in the
Yes,
PPT, right?
PPT.
Okay.
So these ions once get injected into the Orbitrap, it goes into axial motion as well as in radial motion. We measure the axial frequency of the ion. The frequency which is being measured is transferred into mass by charge ratio. If you look at, there is an end electrode which has been connected to the frequency domain which measures the frequency. Simplest way you can say it gives you the image current which has been measured. So this is how the Orbitrap works.
I think you mentioned that you want to show some more detail for the path for these motions?
Yes, yes. I have a small video which we can also see to that video.
Okay.
Just introducing the newest technology, that is LTQ Orbitrap Elite. In the LTQ Orbitrap Elite, if you look at this, is a hybrid systems which has two mass spectrometer. The mass spectrometer which is sitting front is a linear trap, that's a LTQ Orbitrap Veloz, and then the back end which is there is the high field Orbitrap, or called the Orbitrap Elite. If you look at the schematic of the system, in the front part of the system it is the ionization source which sits on the front. Then you have the transfer optics, and the transfer optics we have the S lines, which is the newest generations transfer optics. After the transfer optics we have the transfer tubes, and we have the neutral blockers which blocks the neutrals which is coming from the source. Then we have the octapole, and then the ion trap. In the ion trap we have two resins. One is a high pressure cell, low pressure cell. Then on the radial there is two detectors, detector 1 and detector 2, which when you work with the linear trap, the detectors can be used for the detections of ion from the linear trap. From the linear trap it goes to the transfer optics. Then we have the C trap, which dynamically squeezes the ion into packet and allows that ions to go into the high field Orbitrap. Then you have the SCD cell. So coming back to the ionization source, the ions generated from the source and goes into the transfer optics, and after going out from the transfer optics it goes to the linear trap. In the linear trap, in a full scan mode, the ions are stored into the high pressure cell. Once these ions are stored into high pressure cells in the full scan mode, the ions then change into the C trap through the ion transfer optics. Then it goes into the C trap. This C trap does cooling the ion and makes it into the packet of ion, so that the packet of ion injected into the Orbitrap. Because the Orbitrap itself is in a static field, so you have to inject the ion and tangent to the field. So once the ions goes into the Orbitrap, it moves into the orbit, and the frequency is recorded, which gives you in turn the mass spectrum. If you want to work the linear trap and the Orbitrap at the same time, you can run both the same at the same time. In the linear trap, the ions get stored and fragmented, and then it sends into the Orbitrap. So you can have the full scan MS as well as full scan MS at the same time. Apart from that, you can, in addition to the full scan MS and MS, you can have also low resolution scan from the linear trap. So this is what you can obtain from the Orbitrap.
So it was very good to learn about the Orbitrap technology and how it works. So finally, I'd like to ask you, what is your recommendation for mass spectrometry user? What are different challenges occurring in this field, and maybe your final message to the users of mass spectrometer?
It's very difficult to answer, but in a simplest way, I can tell you it is all depends on the applications area. People, if you look at the selection of instruments, depends on what kind of applications people are looking at. It's more of a thing which people should more look at, more global scenario, how people are going into doing applications in those areas.
Okay.
It is a ocean of thing. If you can have an instrument, you can generate a lot of data, but it all depends on interpretations of those data, and it has to be application oriented.
So you mentioned very rightly that mass spectrometry has infinite possibilities. It has tremendous potential, and depending upon your application, one can explore seamless possibilities taking out from these mass specs. And how one can interpret those data is actually becoming more challenging, and people are coming up with very creative ways of analyzing the data for different applications. So with that, I will conclude this interview, and I will again thank Mr. Sangram for sharing your Orbitrap and different experience of mass spectrometer with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so as you have seen the two interviews and discussion on different type of hybrid MS configurations. We talked about quadruple time of flight, triple quad and orbit trap technologies. You have also seen the latest advancement in the field, the introduction of chip based technology. These are just few examples. There are many other good configurations available from various manufacturers in the field. These two interviews were mainly intended to showcase different type of hybrid MS configurations available and more latest technologies which are trying to overcome the HPLC based methods and their limitations. There are many other good manufacturers available and these two are just two examples to showcase different type of advancement. Now, we will continue our discussion on different type of mass spectrometry based applications in the next lecture. Thank you.